So a quick introduction of me. My name is Martin Cook. I'm English by birth and Australian by citizenship now. I've been here for 17 years. I'm married to Claudia and we have 3 kids. So life is busy. We have our hands full. This is my second testimonial for Freedom. We've just recently settled on a property that's been a couple of years in the making, and we've had a few ups and downs, but yeah, happy to kind of talk a little about that and share my experiences. We have a member care manager assigned to us, a lady called Tanya Torres, and her job essentially was to smooth the wheels of the settlement process, especially as that approached. She engaged with us, she got to know us, spent time with us, and she was essentially the conduit between ourselves and the builder, and also within the Freedom organization as well. So any issues we had, we'd go to her. What I liked about Tanya, what I was impressed with, was that she's just a doer. You know, if something needed to be done, she'd be on the phone speaking to us, just really professional, really polite. So she'd kind of keep us on point when something was coming up, when asking us about the finance, how that's going. She'd update us with information from the vendor, from the developer, and just smooth the wheels of the property settlement process for us. Yeah, she was great. So the property that we recently settled was a townhouse up in Brisbane, and we paid the deposit, I guess, around 2 years ago. Towards the end of last year and early this year, we started the process of getting our finance in place, ready for the completion. Due to some of the issues up in Queensland, the final settlement date was delayed a couple of times. They had a lot of storms, etc. So that kind of impacted us a little bit as we went along. But in the end, it probably benefited us because it gave us a bit more time. You know, our member care manager, Tanya, assisted us through that and feeding through the regular updates. As we got closer, we had a few issues with finance. So we initially kicked off the finance process with an external broker who we thought would be able to help us. He didn't really deliver what we needed. And due to a couple of things, we decided that we weren't going to work with him anymore, which was unfortunate because we wasted a bit of time in terms of preparation for the settlement date. So when we came to Freedom for some finance assistance, we had a smallish window, probably about 6 weeks, in order to get finance in place. We worked with the Freedom finance team, mostly with Mark Ventura, who I guess leads part of the finance team there. Mark's a great guy. He's knowledgeable. He's always contactable. I'm impressed with, like, the guy works Saturdays, weekends, and seems to balance his work well with family life. He was able to kick off the process. He gave us comfort that we could get it done within the 6 weeks, possibly 5 weeks by the time we spoke. Engaged one of the banks, which looked like they'd be best option for us, given the time and serviceability and other things. After about 3 or 4 weeks, we were about to get final approval, unconditional approval from the bank. Then the bank dropped a bombshell on us, which was just bolt out the blue. Instead of the full mortgage amount that we'd requested and applied for, they came back to say they'd only lend us roughly about 2/3 of the amount. So this is with a week to go to settlement. And so the bank came back, and the issue, it was due to a fault on their side. So an error that they made on their side. They valued the property considerably lower than market rate, which impacted our serviceability by 1/3, basically. So we were left scrambling around trying to fix this with the bank and provide them with the information, market rental information, to get them to raise their valuation. Because the impact is, if you're aiming for, let's say, $600 a week rent, and they go to their bank and say, well, we only value rent at about $400 a week, that's a 30% slice of your serviceability. So we scrambled around and we got the information we needed, but this particular bank dragged their heels and just couldn't get it done in time. So Mark stepped in and just said, look, this is taking too long. We are going to go to another bank. Bear in mind, this is 4 days from settlement. And we have got 2 more banks that I've worked with before, and they reckon that they can get a mortgage applied for, approved, loan documentation signed, and ready to settle in 4 days. Frankly, I did not believe that it was going to happen. We had 4 days of just being pretty stressed, frankly. And to cut a long story short, there's a lot of twists and turns on those 4 days, but Mark and his team working with the bank, got all the documentation that the bank needed within 3 days, and the loan documents were signed by the Friday evening, ready for a Monday settlement. The guys frankly worked a miracle. They worked long and hard, and I know they worked at the weekend to get that done for us. Monday was a little tense as we approached the afternoon settlement and the PEXA process, but Mark assured me that we were good. True to his word, everything went smoothly and settlement got over the line, and we will be forever grateful to Mark and his guys. They worked a miracle, frankly, and we were able to get the property settled, and we're now the proud owners of a wonderful townhouse up in Brisbane. Capital growth on the property was fantastic. Within the 2 years of putting down the deposit and settlement, I think the valuation is currently probably about 220,000 more than we bought it for. So I guess that's about just shy of a 30% capital growth. So wonderful story for us, and it's helping us out enormously financially as a family. So great result from Freedom. Did we expect quite that amount of capital growth when we started this process? I think the answer would have to be not that much. I know property prices are going well in Brisbane, and you hope for some kind of appreciation, and you've set your target at an inflationary 4 or 5% a year. So to have seen an almost 30% increase in just over 2 years is phenomenal. And I think it's kind of testament to a couple of things. One is the power of data. Know that Freedom focus on data, and Liliana is the engine of all data when it comes to property. And she sees things in the data that I think others potentially don't, and we've benefited from that a lot. She sees not just the single development, but the wider area, the infrastructure, all the other things that perhaps will lead to capital growth in a way that I'm not sure that every property company is able to. So I don't think it's an accident. I think it's something that happens probably quite regularly. We have a great strategist that also helps us through the process, David Morrison, who we've known for a couple of years now and we've worked closely with. If you don't know what a property strategist is, it's somebody that's assigned to you pretty much at the start of your Freedom journey. They will assist you in property selection, presenting you with some options of places to invest in, locations, property types, according to your budget. Aside from this property selection advice that they provide, which was great in Dave's case, they're there through the journey. And what I like about Dave is, again, he's always available, similar to Tanya. He's always available. He finds time for us. One of the things that helped us through this process was, as we were getting close to the settlement and having the issues with the finance, we set up a couple of calls, and he just kind of was the voice of calm. He was the voice of, this is what we're going to do. This is what we can do. Let's control what we control. And we'll try and influence other things in our favor to get settlement over the line. Dave's great. Got a lot of time for Dave, and I'd say we've become friends over the couple of years. In terms of when we started our journey and what Freedom's given to us, I'd say that it's kind of opened up our financial future a little bit. We had some investments and other things, but I think when you speaking to someone that is an expert in property and can give strong advice, you start to see the possibilities. And so for us, those possibilities included setting up a self-managed super. My wife and I are investing in 2 other properties, and both of those settling later this year. And they've seen probably 20-25% growth, and they're long-term investments for us. We're not going to be touching those for 15 years. I feel like that we've taken a super, which is this kind of static money that sits with a superannuation fund and they manage it for you. I feel like we've taken control of that a little bit by buying the properties through Freedom in our self-managed super. And I feel like retirement future is probably a little bit more secure, but also it's more in our hands. And Freedom have helped us to do that. We sat down initially, we went through again the numbers, the data, the future in 10, 15 years if we were to invest some of our money in super, and the numbers just speak for themselves. So that's been a great help. And yeah, we have another property outside the super settling later in the year as well. It feels like our financial future is just a little bit more secure now. Yeah, Freedom have helped us a lot in that regard.